I know, yeah. Welcome
like,
to
hey.
Marshall County Today, the new talk show aimed at informing you about stories of people and businesses around your neighborhood. And we also welcome all those who are watching on our new Max 98.3 Stream YouTube channel. So again, type in Max 98.3 Stream and subscribe, and you'll be able to get everything that we're doing. We're going to be doing some, starting up some podcasts here. Don't have quite the date on just doing that yet, but now that we're back at it and we're able to utilize video, we are going to be recording, obviously, a lot of stuff, including our Marshall County Today show. And today our guest is Marianne Peters from our Recycling Depot. Marianne, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Hey, fantastic. So I consider myself pretty busy.
Yeah.
But I think you got me beat. You guys are all over the place and have been all over the place with promotion. And you were telling me your recent trip that you guys did.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, my gosh, I bet you slept for at least 10 hours afterwards.
You know, actually, it was pretty pathetic how tired I was after that. I mean, wow. I came home and just laid on the couch and said, Tim, dinner's on you, bud. I cannot even move. And
you weren't here. You were here. A few weeks ago, just talking about everything that you got going on, and sure enough, you're backing up what you're preaching.
Right.
And so let's kind of go. I'm going to actually kind of let you take the reins here and give our listeners and our viewers an opportunity to kind of see what is actually exciting going on with the depot.
Well, I'm really thankful we received an IDEM grant in I should say Indiana Department of Environmental Management, IDEM grant this year to do some additional recycling education for Marshall County. Just to give a little bit of background, we had a lot of disruptions during the pandemic with not just with recycling, but even with trash pickup. There were a lot of folks that weren't getting their trash picked up at all for weeks. And there were a lot of problems with driver shortages, equipment breakdowns, supply chains, yada, yada. We've all experienced it. But one of the things we noticed coming out of that was that there was a lot of confusion and doubt about whether recycling was actually happening anymore and whether it was even a good idea, which was kind of frustrating for me because I saw that from my end that recycling was still happening. It was actually getting better in Marshall County. And so to work on that sort of that disconnect, I asked IDEM for a grant to do some additional and some more creative recycling education for the county. So we have been really busy. The campaign is called Transform Tomorrow because the emphasis for us is just to remind people that recycling is part of the strategy for taking care of the planet.
Right.
It's not the only thing we should be doing, but it is one key ingredient in making sure that we manage the waste that we create effectively. So we've been kind of throwing all kinds of things at the county. We have a couple billboards on 31, so it's kind of fun to drive up and down US 31 and see our Transform Tomorrow artwork on the billboards, just to remind people that the Recycle Depot is here. We're here for the entire county. But also, we wanted to, even for the people passing through, we wanted to just give them a nudge. Hey, recycling really does transform tomorrow. It really does make a difference. Then some of the other things we're doing, we are just getting ready to roll out a really cool newsletter for all the fourth graders in Marshall County. It's called Trash Talk, and it's a newsprint, large 4-page spread that has not only information about the Recycle Depot, but some games, some puzzles, just general information about recycling in general, and some other tips for going a little greener, especially in the spring.
Sure.
So we're really excited about that. I think the kiddos are going to love that. We've just took our first waste tour. Yes, Wednesday.
Waste tour.
A waste tour. So what we decided to do was line up some Marshall County residents who were interested in finding out more about what happens to recycling once it leaves the curb. So we jumped in a van. We drove up to Elkhart to Recycling Works, which is the material recovery facility, the place where all the recycling gets dumped off, then it gets mechanically sorted. Then it gets baled and it gets ready to be sent off to manufacturers that will recycle it and reuse that material. I'll be posting some more pictures on our Facebook page today of that tour. We had about 7 people go with us, and for them, it was their first time in a recycling facility, and it was really fun. You know, I've been to many of them, so it was really fun to experience it through their eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, just the,
looks on their faces, yeah.
just like, wow, this is crazy. It's so loud. For one thing,
is it really?
It's loud.
I've never been one. I'd be a good candidate to go on one of these trips.
Well, you know, if you like, you should. It's a hoot, actually. If you like lots of machinery, if you like to watch big compactor trucks and trash trucks, and you know, even I get fascinated by that stuff, you know, and I can't tell my excavator from my backhoe. So, you know, I mean, I'm really trying, but you know, it's seeing tons and tons and tons of recycling come down a conveyor belt and then go through a series of conveyor belts and sorters, magnets. There's just a lot of different ways to mechanically sort this material, and it's pretty sophisticated. We have optical sorters now that can look at barcodes that will in an instant, they can look at a barcode, send a puff of air that will send water bottles one way and aluminum cans the other.
Wow.
I mean, it's pretty high tech. And from I have to say, geeking out as a, you know, I have some equipment that I have to manage at the Recycle Depot, but I was just really impressed standing there on Wednesday, looking around at all the moving parts and thinking, how do they maintain all this? How do they keep these conveyors moving? They get 100 trucks a day at that facility of recycling that they're sorting and baling, and of course they have employees there too that are doing a lot of that work. So they're up there in the machinery. They're pulling off specific items that are, so one person will be in charge of pulling off all of the detergent bottles that go by. One person pulls off all the cardboard that goes by. One person pulls off the shrink wrap.
Really?
So it's amazing how efficient they are for as much material as they get. And there's a lot of stuff that comes through that's just trash that they also have to sort out of that flow. So
Sounds like it takes an exceptional person to work at that place.
You know, those conveyor belts move really fast.
Yeah.
And so you have to have great reflexes. But it's interesting because it's also it's a lot of engineering. It's a lot of they're now pulling in robotics to help with some of that sorting. But there's still a lot of human beings that work there too, and that are responsible for that. And just the logistics of handling all that traffic.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into it. But it was really fun just to see people's reactions, and they're just like, wow. My husband, of course, Recycle Depot's first dude, he came along, and he'd never been to one and to a facility like that. And so I said, has your life changed? And he said, yeah, Yeah, actually, it has. I really understand a lot more about what happens, and it's impressive. So after we went to Recycling Works, then we swung by Prairie View Landfill, and landfills get kind of a bad rap, but there's just as much engineering and ingenuity that goes into managing a landfill as there is that goes into managing a recycling facility.
Right.
And so that was also just a really interesting tour for people just to drive around and see what it takes to manage that trash. It's not going anywhere. It's going there and it's staying there forever. So how do we protect ourselves from the wastewater that comes out of that? And how do we keep all that stuff contained? How do we make sure that we're protecting our water table and our our aquifers and all the environment around us? And also, one thing I will say about Prairie View, and they're doing this down at County Line Landfill as well, they are pulling off landfill gas and using that to create energy. So, one of the things you notice when you go down there is the smell is not as intense because a lot of that gas is being sucked off that hill, and it's being treated and it's being used to power these giant Caterpillar locomotive engines.
Nice.
So that's really interesting too.
Yeah.
So if it's not just about sanitation, there's a lot of engineering that goes into it, a lot of land management. So it's very interesting, and it's always fun for me to go back every couple of years just to see what some of the changes, some of the improvements they've made. So pretty fun, I have to say.
Technology is going to continue to play an important role here, isn't it?
It is, especially because, we have the capability now to transform that gas that naturally occurs in landfills and make something useful out of it. In fact, at Prairie View, they're also they've just set up a brand new plant that will take the landfill gas and renew it, like literally renew it and make it into natural gas. So that involves moving a couple of electrons around,
Sure, right.
So I don't know much about that end of things, but
just the fact that can be done is impressive,
right? And so it's great because it's great for the community as well. It provides renewable energy that's less that we have to pull out of the ground in terms of fossil fuels. But it's still a lot of waste. It's pretty amazing to sit there and watch this compactor. It weighs 190,000 pounds, crushing this mountain of trash, crushing it, compacting it, making sure that it's going to stay where it is and not go anywhere. There's still an issue. We've still got an issue with an incredible amount of waste that we're producing that we need to get a handle on. As much as I love recycling and I love the industry and just the ingenuity, it's still, you still think to yourself, we've still got an issue. We've still got to stop making this much waste because it's literally not going anywhere. Right. So it's staying in right here.
Well, and what's amazing is, I love the fact, first of all, and I want to keep it more here on the local level,
right?
You're offering opportunities like this tour, and I think more people need to just see how important recycling has been. It's not just a bunch of, nature nuts trying to change you and what you do.
Right.
There's a reason why recycling is important, and I the fact that these little tours going to the landfills and that kind of stuff. That all helps. That helps educate.
I think people have to see things for themselves.
Oh, I agree.
Sometimes.
I agree.
And I think it's really important to be curious about things like this.
Yeah.
I was the kind of person that I would plunk my kids down in front of Mr. Rogers, and, they would have wandered off, and I'm like yelling from the couch, "He's at the toothpaste factory, you guys." This is awesome. Because I love to see how systems work.
Sure.
I love to see how people do things. So maybe this is just appealing to that part of me.
Yeah, but still, I think if a lot of us kind of invested a little bit more time in how things are made that we use, not just food, but I mean, I think it would open up a lot of eyes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do. It's kind of about what item is providing here, that money to help educate and spawn more interest. It's we're still people who forget about it isn't affecting me. Well,
right.
It really is affecting you.
It is.
In one way or another, that at least take a look and see how this process is going. Because I used to be that guy.
Yeah.
I used to be that. You and I, you try to whip me in shape about recycling and stuff, and I just say, I could just very easily put it in all one,
right,
trash container. So it's
I'm
not what's the big deal? Well, until, you finally said, okay, here's the deal. This is why I'm here. And you started throwing out some very important educational, okay, all right, let's try this. Now I got 2 garbage cans, one for recycling, the other one for regular now. And my wife it's always been a recycler.
Yeah.
So she handled that part about it. She was helping me, educating me as well. So, now it's just one of those scenarios where, okay, you're right. It's not a big deal to have 2 trash cans, one for recycling, one for the actual trash.
And one thing we're trying to do again with this program is just to get the education and get the information out there so that it is not a big deal to have a recycling bin and to throw your stuff in the recycle bin. In a perfect world, we would all collect recyclables and turn them in and get paid for them. That's how it used to function. It doesn't function that way anymore. We just have way too much, stuff. Yeah. There's a glut of it. So, but at the same time, it shouldn't be hard. There should be some payoff, and the payoff ought to be, well, it's not that hard to recycle. We have a bin, we throw our recyclables in there. So we're really trying to make sure that we're sharing what can be recycled, and we're checking in with places like Recycling Works to find out from them what is recyclable on your end. What are we throwing in there that we shouldn't be throwing in there? One thing that I learned at Recycling Works the other day was one of the workers showed me a piece of like a candy wrapper, and which is plastic, and he crinkled it up and he said, if you can crinkle plastic, it's not recyclable. What that tells us is that it doesn't have enough oil in it to make it worth recycling. There's just not enough there that we could turn it into something else, that we could actually refine it into another kind of plastic. So I said, well, what about my takeout containers? I can crinkle those takeout containers, like those clear ones you get sometimes from a restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, yeah, those don't recycle. Those are not recyclable. They're not rigid enough. They don't have enough material in them that we can use to make new products.
And that's something.
And that really, I thought that's a great tip, because people come to me all the time with things like, well, I got this takeout container, I washed it out. Can I recycle it? It has a number 1 on it. And now I can say, no, don't recycle it. It might be the right kind of plastic, but it doesn't have the right mix of materials that it's going to be recyclable. So stick to things like bottles, cartons, yogurt containers, things, plastic that's actually got some substance to it, shampoo bottles, detergent bottles, jars, cans, and make sure they're clean. That's something that sometimes we have to remind people of. But that flimsy plastic, that shrink wrap, those flimsy takeout containers, just throw them away. They're not going to be recyclable. Someday maybe we'll dig them out of the landfill and we'll use them for something.
Sure.
That's called landfill mining, by the way. They're actually starting to do that in some landfills,
No kidding.
which is crazy. But yeah, unfortunately, we're just not going to be able to recycle all the plastic that we come into contact with, and we just have to live with that. That's just what we have to work with. It's much better for us to put that plastic in the bin that we know is actually going to get somewhere and going to be used again. And hopefully the manufacturers will catch up and start start making containers that are recyclable, that do have some life left. I always tell people, because I have folks that, they just hate to throw anything away. And I'm so empathetic to that. But I always tell people, it's not your fault. This is where we are right now. So we have to do the best we can. Yeah. And that stinks, but that's where we are. Just make sure you try and reduce and reuse as much as you can. Get your reusable water bottle. Try and buy durable goods, which is getting harder and harder to do. Try and invest in belongings that you're going to keep for a while. That's how we fight back against some of this incredible waste that we have.
We're talking with Mary Ann Peters of the Recycling Depot here. And again, here on Max 98.3, you're hearing that lovely voice, but you also can view on our brand new YouTube channel, which is Max 98.3 Stream. And hit subscribe.
I'm not sure this camera's on my best side. I'm just not even going to think about the fact that I'm on video.
What sides are the best sides anyways. I'm a radio guy being told to do video here, so I'm just doing what I'm told. It's going to take me a while to get this stuff down. You guys got some exciting stuff that's coming up, right?
We do. We have another opportunity for a waste tour in April. So if you're getting excited about this waste tour that I'm talking about, we are going to do it again on April 12th, which is a Friday. And if we get enough people calling in saying, "Hey, we want to go on one of these, but Friday the 12th isn't going to work for me," let me know, because we can keep doing these. Recycling Works is very open to us bringing people up. It's more education for them to share. So anytime anybody is ever interested in going on this, we can continue to set them up. But our next Discovering Our Waste tour is going to be Friday, April 12th at 2 p.m. And it takes about 4 or 4.5 hours. We meet at the Recycle Depot. We jump in the van. We drive to Recycling Works. That takes about an hour. Then on our way back, we swing by Prairie View landfill. That takes about an hour. And then we come right back to Plymouth. So it's only about half a day, a little less than half a day. And it's a lot of fun. And it is some walking, though, just to let people know. At the landfill, we're in the van, but at Recycling Works, there's some walking. There's walking up onto catwalks. So you want to make sure you don't wear your Birkenstocks that day. There's some standing on concrete as well, which for folks sometimes that's hard to do. But so just be aware of that. So that's coming up on March 28th. If you can't go on the tour, the plant manager of Recycling Works will be coming down to Marshall County to have some beers with us at Marshall County Green Drinks. That's going to be, again, March 28th, Thursday, March 28th from 5:30 to 7:30. Daniel Zalea from Recycling Works will be joining us to answer all of your recycling questions. He is also a Spanish speaker, so he's bilingual. So if you are a Spanish-speaking person or you know some folks who would be more comfortable listening in Spanish, he's available to do that. And he's a great guy and very open to answering any questions about recycling. So that's coming up. And then our big Earth Day event is coming up on April 20th. That's the Saturday before Earth Day. We are doing our tree giveaway again this year. We've given over 1,000 trees in the last couple of years, native Indiana trees on our Earth Day events. So we're doing it again. We'll have about 600 trees. We ask for a $1 donation for each tree, and I have to pull up the flyer because
Make sure you send that flyer to us, too.
oh, I will. I definitely will. Let's see if I can find it though. I had it pulled up, but then my phone decided to be a jerk. Okay.
Yours too, right?
Where is it? Okay, hang on. Hang on. It's coming. It's coming. It's getting here. Anyway, so here it is. Okay. So, geez, stop that. Okay. So it's our Earth Day event. And we will be giving away our trees. And I'm so sorry. This is taking a while because I can't read it. It's too small. Oh, I'm so lame. Anyway, we will have oaks, hickories, river birches, a button bush option, which is a really cool native shrub, the button bush.
Never heard of it.
It's really a neat little shrub. Bald cypress, and a black walnut. These are all Indiana native trees. So the wonderful thing about native trees is that they support Indiana native wildlife. So there are all kinds of butterflies and other insects that depend on these trees, as well as, not to mention, squirrels and chipmunks and birds. Sure. And so it's really great to be able to provide trees that are also help our wildlife. So we'll have tree options. You can come on April 20th, pick up a couple trees for a donation. We will also have our rain barrels and our compost bins available for sale at a discount on April 20th, and we'll be there from 8 until noon. So you can find the flyer for this on our Facebook page and on our website, and I'll be putting out more information as we get closer to that time. But we've already had people calling in about rain barrels and compost bins, so we'll have those there. We'll have, if you have questions about composting or how to install a rain barrel, we'll be there with information about that.
It's going to be a big day.
It is going to be a big day. Well, a big morning. We'll be there from 8 until noon. So
lots of stuff happening.
Yep.
All right. Anything else we need to hammer real quick, or?
I think that's it. But yeah, definitely check our website, myrecycledepot.org, for all of this information.
All right. That's the lovely Marianne Peters from our Marshall County Recycling Depot joining us here on the show. And if you just caught half of it, you can, as soon as we're done here, go to our Max 98.3 new YouTube channel. Again, it is Max 98.3 Stream. Subscribe, and you can catch the entire interview there as well. Marianne, thank you again for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me. It was great.
All right.
It's awesome.
Coming up, we'll wrap it up after this.